Welcome to the Whispering Bee family, where broken things don't stay broken, they find a way to become whole again. Here, we uncover the truths people try to bury one story at a time, because some secrets aren't just lies, they're entire hidden lives, carefully built, quietly waiting to collapse. Stay with us, as some stories don't just unfold, they unravel everything. For 10 years, Maya believed she was living a quiet, honest life. Her husband Damon was not perfect, but he was dependable. A father who showed up just enough. A man who always had an explanation for everything. Late nights, sudden work trips, the constant need for privacy. Maya trusted him. She trusted him the way you trust the ground beneath your feet. The way you trust the sun to rise. Because when you build a life with someone for a decade, when you watch them hold your newborn daughter in the hospital, when you see them teach your son to ride a bike, when you share Sunday morning pancakes and arguments about whose turn it is to take out the trash, you do not imagine they are building another one somewhere else. Their life together started like most love stories do. Maya met Damon at a coffee shop in downtown Portland on a rainy Tuesday morning in March. She was 24, fresh out of graduate school, working her first real job as a junior architect at a small firm that specialized in sustainable building design. She had ordered her usual oat milk latte and was hunched over blueprints at a corner table when someone bumped her elbow, sending coffee across her sketches. Damon had been mortified. He was 27, charming in that effortless way some men are, with kind eyes and a smile that made her feel seen. He insisted on buying her a new coffee and offering his napkins to blot the damage. They ended up talking for 2 hours. He worked in finance, he told her, at an investment firm downtown. He loved hiking, classic rock, Thai food, dogs, though he did not have one yet. Maya found herself laughing more than she had in months. There was something easy about him, something safe. They dated for 2 years before he proposed. Damon planned it perfectly. A Saturday morning hike on a trail overlooking the Columbia River Gorge. The leaves were turning gold and orange. The air was crisp. At the viewpoint, he got down on one knee and pulled out a ring. Maya said yes, before he could finish asking. The wedding was small, intimate, just family and close friends at a garden venue outside the city. Her parents cried during the vows. His mother gave a toast about finally finding a woman good enough for her son. Damon's father, quiet and reserved, shook Maya's hand and told her she was gaining a good man. Maya believed him. They honeymooned in Hawaii, spent a week on Maui doing nothing but sleeping late, swimming, and eating fresh pineapple. Damon was attentive, thoughtful. He remembered she did not like seafood, so he always found restaurants with other options. He woke up early to watch the sunrise with her. He held her hand on the beach and told her he could not wait to build a life together. Their daughter Emma was born a year later. The labor was long, difficult. Maya had been in pain for 18 hours before the doctors decided on a cesarean section. Damon held her hand through all of it, whispered encouragement, wiped her tears. When Emma finally arrived, tiny and screaming and perfect, he cried. "I am a dad," he kept saying. "I am actually a dad." Those first months were hard. Emma did not sleep well. Maya struggled with postpartum depression. There were nights she sat on the bathroom floor at 3 in the morning, crying from exhaustion, wondering if she was failing at motherhood. Damon would find her, lift her up, tell her she was doing great. He took the night shifts when he could, learned to change diapers, walked circles around the living room with Emma on his shoulder, singing off-key lullabies that somehow always worked. Maya fell in love with him all over again, watching him be a father. 3 years later, their son Liam arrived, an easier birth this time, a calmer baby. Liam had Damon's eyes and Maya's stubborn streak. He toddled everywhere, climbing furniture and getting into everything. Emma adored him. She would sit next to his crib and sing to him, brought him toys, kissed his forehead when he cried. Maya remembered those years as golden. Exhausting, yes, chaotic, but full of love. She remembered birthday parties in their backyard. Emma turning 5 with a princess cake and too much sugar. Liam turning 2 with frosting smeared across his face. Friends and family gathered around picnic tables. Damon manning the grill, laughing with neighbors, always making sure everyone had enough to eat. She remembered Christmas mornings surrounded by wrapping paper and laughter. The year Emma got her first bike and spent all afternoon riding circles in the driveway. The year Liam opened a toy truck and refused to put it down for 3 days straight. She remembered family vacations to the Oregon coast, renting a small cabin near Cannon Beach, building sandcastles that the tide would wash away, collecting shells and sea glass, Damon teaching Emma to fly a kite while Liam napped in the stroller, long walks at sunset, the smell of salt water and sunscreen. She remembered their 10th anniversary. Damon surprised her with a weekend away, just the two of them. Her parents watched the kids. They drove to a bed and breakfast in wine country, spent 2 days doing nothing but sleeping in, tasting wine, and remembering what it felt like to just be a couple instead of just being parents. He told her he loved her more than the day they got married. She believed him. 10 years of memories, 10 years of building something she thought was real. Damon worked in finance. At least that is what she knew. He managed accounts for a mid-sized investment firm. The hours were long, he said. Client meetings ran late. Sometimes he traveled for conferences. Seattle, San Francisco, Denver, Maya never questioned it. Why would she? He always came home. He was always there for the important things. School plays, parent-teacher conferences, soccer games. Well, most of them. Looking back, Maya could see the pattern. The way he would miss Liam's game because of an urgent client call. The way he could not make Emma's dance recital because he had to fly out that morning. The apologies always came with flowers, with promises, with just enough guilt in his eyes to make her feel bad for being disappointed. But she forgave him, every time, because that is what you do when you love someone. You make space for their imperfections. You tell yourself that everyone is doing their best. Truth has a way of leaking through the cracks. It started small. On a Tuesday afternoon in late September, Maya was working from home, sketching plans for a new community center project, when her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost did not answer. The voice on the other end was professional, polite. A woman from Jefferson Elementary School calling about a parent-teacher conference for one of their students. Maya paused. Emma and Liam went to Riverside Elementary across town. "I think you have the wrong number," Maya said. The woman apologized, then mentioned the student's name, Oliver Chen. Maya had never heard of him. "I am sorry," Maya said again. "I do not know anyone by that name." There was a pause. Then the woman said, "We have you listed as the emergency contact for Oliver. You are Mrs. Chen, correct?" "My last name is Chen," Maya said slowly, "but I do not have a son named Oliver." Another pause, longer this time. "I apologize for the confusion," the woman said. "Could I confirm the father's name? We have it listed as Damon Chen." The room went very still. Maya felt something cold slide down her spine. "That is my husband's name," she said quietly. "But we have 2 children, Emma and Liam, not Oliver." The woman on the other end sounded genuinely confused now. "Perhaps there has been a mistake in our records. Let me double-check and call you back if needed." Maya hung up. She sat there staring at her phone for a long time. Wrong number. Had to be. Damon's name was not exactly rare. There were probably dozens of Damon Chens in the Portland area alone, maybe hundreds. But something about the call stuck with her, like a splinter under the skin. That night, Damon came home at 7:30, normal time. He kissed her on the cheek, asked about her day, helped Liam with his math homework. Everything was ordinary, routine, safe. Maya did not mention the phone call, because saying it out loud would make it real. And she was not ready for that. But that night, something shifted. Some invisible barrier in her mind cracked just enough to let doubt seep through. She started noticing things. The way Damon kept his phone face down on the table, always. The way he took calls in the other room. The way his calendar seemed to have gaps she could not quite account for. Maya did not confront him. She watched, listened, waited. She told herself she was being paranoid. That grief from losing her father 6 months earlier was making her see problems where there were none. That stress from work was playing tricks on her mind. But instinct is a language older than logic. And hers was screaming. 2 weeks after the phone call, Maya did something she had never done before. She followed him. It was a Friday evening. Damon said he had a late meeting with a client. He kissed her goodbye at 6, said he would be home by 10. Maya waited 15 minutes, then she got in her car. Her hands shook on the steering wheel. She felt ridiculous, like a character in a bad movie, like a woman she never thought she would become. But she drove anyway. She followed his silver sedan through downtown Portland, keeping 2 cars between them, her heart hammering so hard she could hear it over the radio. He did not go to his office. He drove east toward a neighborhood Maya barely knew, modest houses, tree-lined streets, swing sets in front yards. He turned onto Maple Street and pulled into the driveway of a pale yellow house with white shutters. Maya parked a block away, watched. Damon sat in his car for a moment, like he was preparing himself. Then he got out, walked to the front door and knocked. Knocked. Like a stranger. Like someone who did not have a key. And when the door opened, a woman appeared. Petite, dark hair pulled into a ponytail, pretty in an understated way. She smiled. A real smile, the kind you give someone you love. And then she pulled him into a kiss. Not a peck, not a polite greeting. A kiss that was far too familiar, far too comfortable, far too much like coming home. Maya's vision blurred. She gripped the steering wheel until her knuckles turned white. Inside the house, through the front window, she could see movement. Small figures running, children. 2 of them. A boy and a girl. They ran to Damon, wrapped their arms around his legs, jumping, excited. And Maya heard it. Even from a block away, even through closed windows and distance, she swore she heard it. Dad, Dad, Dad. Maya did not cry. Not yet. Because the shock was too deep for tears, too vast for something as small as crying. She sat in her car until the streetlights came on, until the sky turned from purple to black, until she could not feel her fingers anymore. Then she drove home, put on her pajamas, made herself tea, and waited. Damon came home at 10:15, just like he said he would. How was your meeting? She asked. Good, he said, tiring. Client was demanding, but we worked it out. He kissed her forehead, told her he was going to take a shower. And Maya sat on the couch, sipping tea that had gone cold, staring at a wall, realizing that her entire life might be a lie. The next day, she did something unexpected. She went back. In the light of morning, the yellow house looked even more ordinary. A garden gnome by the mailbox, a basketball hoop in the driveway, a minivan parked in front. Maya sat in her car for 20 minutes, building the courage. Then she walked to the front door. And knocked. The woman who opened it was wearing yoga pants and an oversized sweater. No makeup, hair messy. She looked like any other suburban mom on a Saturday morning. She looked at Maya with polite confusion. Can I help you? She asked. Maya's throat was dry. Are you? She started, then stopped. Tried again. Do you know Damon Chen? The woman's expression shifted, guarded now. Why? Maya took a breath. Because he is my husband. For a moment, neither of them moved. The world seemed to tilt sideways. Then the woman's face went very pale. That is not possible, she whispered. But her voice had no conviction. My name is Maya Chen, Maya said quietly. I have been married to Damon for 10 years. We have 2 children. Emma is 9, Liam is 6. The woman stared at her, swaying slightly. Then she stepped back. You should come inside, she said. Her name was Lee. Lee Thompson, though she thought her name was Lee Chen. They sat at her kitchen table. 2 women, 2 strangers, 2 people who should never have met. Lee made coffee with shaking hands. How long? Maya asked. 8 years, Lee said. We have been together for 8 years. The number hit Maya like a fist. 8 years. Which meant Damon had met Lee 2 years into his marriage with Maya. right around the time Emma was born. Lee showed her the marriage certificate, dated 6 years ago, signed, sealed, official. Maya felt her reality fracture. "But I am married to him," she said. "Legally. We got married 10 years ago in Portland." Lee's hands trembled. "Then one of these is not real," she whispered. They spent the next 3 hours comparing notes, dates, photos, memories. Damon had told Lee he worked in tech, sales, that his job required a lot of travel, that he had to go to Portland often for regional meetings, sometimes for a week at a time. When he was with Maya, he was coming home. When he was with Lee, he was on a business trip. Lee had 2 children with him. Oliver was 7, Sophie was 4. Which meant Damon had been raising 2 families simultaneously, going to 2 sets of birthday parties, 2 sets of school events, 2 sets of bedtime routines. "How?" Maya whispered. "How did he keep it straight?" Lee shook her head. She showed Maya photos on her phone. Damon at Sophie's 4th birthday party. Damon teaching Oliver to swim. Damon asleep on their couch with both kids curled against him. Maya showed Lee her photos. Damon at Emma's dance recital. Damon building a snowman with Liam. Damon on their anniversary trip to the coast. 2 lives, 2 families, 2 versions of the same man. And neither woman had suspected a thing. For a moment, they just sat there. 2 women who should have been enemies. 2 women who had every reason to hate each other. But they did not. Because slowly, painfully, they realized something. They were not each other's enemy. He was. "We need to find out everything," Maya said finally. "Bank accounts, property, legal documents, all of it." Lee nodded. "And we need a lawyer." Over the next 2 weeks, Maya and Lee became unlikely allies. They hired the same attorney, a sharp woman named Patricia Reeves who had been practicing family law for 23 years. She had seen her share of messy cases, bitter divorces, custody battles, financial disputes that dragged on for years. But she admitted this one was extraordinary. "I have never seen anything quite like this," Patricia said when they first met in her office. She was in her 50s, gray hair cut short, glasses perched on her nose. 2 wives, 2 families. This is not just infidelity. This is systematic fraud. What they uncovered went far beyond betrayal. Damon had been stealing. Not from them, from his company, Anderson Financial Group, a mid-sized investment firm where he had worked for 12 years. It started small. Patricia showed them the paper trail she had already begun to trace. A few thousand here and there. Expense reports padded with fake receipts. Client dinners that never happened. Hotel stays that were billed twice. Mileage reimbursements for trips he never took. But over the years, it escalated. By the time Patricia finished her initial investigation, the number was staggering. $197,000. Nearly $200,000 embezzled over the course of 6 years. The math was brutal. Damon's salary was $90,000 a year. Good money, but not enough to maintain 2 households, 2 rents, 2 sets of utilities, 2 car payments, groceries for 8 people, school supplies, doctor visits, sports fees, dance lessons, birthday parties, vacations. The numbers did not add up. So he had found other ways. Patricia laid it all out on her desk. Bank statements, credit card bills, loan applications, tax returns that did not match what he had told either woman. "He has been running a shell game," she said, "moving money between accounts, using credit cards to pay credit cards, taking out loans to cover other loans. It was an elaborate house of cards." Maya stared at the documents, numbers that represented years of lies. "How did his company not notice?" Lee asked. "They are noticing now," Patricia said. "I made some calls, quietly. They have been conducting an internal audit for the past month. They know money is missing. They just do not know who yet." "But they will," Maya said. "They will," Patricia confirmed. "And when they find out," Lee said slowly, "what happens?" "Criminal charges," Patricia said. "Embezzlement. Fraud. Wire fraud if he moved money across state lines, which it looks like he did. He could be looking at significant prison time. Maya felt numb. Part of her wanted him to suffer, to pay for what he had done. But another part, the part that remembered him holding Emma as a newborn, felt sick. "What about the bigamy?" Lee asked. Patricia nodded. "That is a felony in Oregon. Maximum 5 years in prison. But typically, prosecutors are lenient if it is a first offense. He might get probation. Fines. Unless we push for more," Maya said. Patricia looked at her. "Unless you push for more," she agreed. Lee was quiet for a moment. "What do we do?" she asked finally. Maya's jaw tightened. "We tell the truth, all of it." Patricia spent the next week building their case. She contacted Damon's company, provided them with evidence, made sure they knew exactly who had been stealing from them and why. She contacted the district attorney's office, filed formal complaints, provided testimony from both Maya and Lee. She filed for annulment of both marriages, fought for full custody of all 4 children to be split between Maya and Lee with no visitation rights for Damon until the legal situation was resolved. And she made sure the media knew. Because Patricia understood something important. Men like Damon thrive in secrecy, in shadow, in the spaces between truth and lies. The only way to stop him was to drag everything into the light. The exposure was not quiet. There was no private confrontation, no soft ending. It happened in broad daylight. On a Wednesday morning in November, 2 police cars pulled up to Damon's office building downtown. He was in a meeting when they came for him. Colleagues watched as he was led out in handcuffs. Phones came out. Photos were taken. By the end of the day, it was all over the local news. Portland man arrested for bigamy and embezzlement. 2 wives, 4 children, years of lies. Maya watched the news from her living room. Emma and Liam were at school. She had decided to tell them after, when she had the words. Her phone rang constantly. Friends, family, people she had not spoken to in years. Everyone wanted to know if it was true, if she was okay, if she needed anything. She turned off her phone. At the same time, across town, Lee was doing the same thing. Damon did not fight it, because there was nothing left to defend. The charges stacked up like the lies he had told for years. Bigamy, a felony in Oregon. Fraud. Embezzlement. Forgery, because one of those marriage certificates was fake. He had used false documents to marry Lee. His lawyer tried to negotiate, tried to argue mental health issues, stress, delusion. But the evidence was overwhelming. Bank records, emails, text messages, calendars that showed him living 2 completely separate lives with shocking precision. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The courtroom was packed every day. Media, family, friends, strangers who had followed the story and wanted to see how it ended. Maya and Lee both testified, on separate days. Neither wanted to be in the courtroom when the other spoke. It was too raw, too personal. Maya went first. She wore a navy blue dress, no jewelry, hair pulled back. She wanted to look composed, strong, even though inside she felt like she was falling apart. The prosecutor, a woman named Jennifer Walsh, asked her to tell the court about her marriage. "We met 12 years ago," Maya said. Her voice was steady, practiced. She had gone over this testimony 100 times with Patricia, dated for 2, got married 10 years ago, had 2 children, Emma and Liam. "And during those 10 years," Jennifer asked, "did you have any reason to believe your husband was unfaithful?" Maya hesitated. "There were small things," she said. "Late nights, business trips, but he always had explanations, and I trusted him." "When did you first suspect something was wrong?" "When I got a phone call from a school about a child I had never heard of," Maya said. "A boy named Oliver. They said I was listed as an emergency contact. They used my husband's last name." "And what did you do?" "I thought it was a mistake," Maya said, "but it stayed with me. So 2 weeks later, I followed him." "Tell us what you saw." Maya took a breath. I saw him drive to a house in Gresham, knock on the door. A woman answered. They kissed, not like friends, like people in a relationship. Then I saw children run to him, calling him Dad. Her voice cracked, and I realized my entire life was a lie. Jennifer walked her through the discovery, the meeting with Lee, the uncovering of the fraud, the stolen money, the fake documents. How did you feel when you learned the truth? Jennifer asked. Maya looked at Damon for the first time. He was staring at the table, refusing to meet her eyes. Destroyed, she said quietly, like everything I thought I knew was wrong, like I could not trust my own memories. How do you look at your wedding photos and not wonder if he was thinking about someone else? How do you remember your child's birth and not question if he was wishing he was somewhere else? Thank you, Jennifer said softly. Damon's lawyer, a thin man named Robert Kessler, tried to cross-examine her gently. Mrs. Chen, he said, your husband has expressed deep remorse for his actions. He is not my husband, Maya interrupted. Our marriage has been annulled. He is a stranger who pretended to be my husband for 10 years. Robert cleared his throat. Mr. Chen, he corrected, has expressed remorse. He has stated that he loves you and your children. Does that mean anything to you? Maya's jaw tightened. Actions mean something, she said. Words are what liars use to keep you believing. Robert tried a different approach. Is it possible that Mr. Chen was struggling with mental health issues that contributed to his behavior? We are all struggling, Maya said. Life is hard. That does not give you permission to destroy other people. Robert had no further questions. Lee testified 2 days later. She wore a gray dress, looked exhausted, like she had not been sleeping. She told her version of the story, meeting Damon 8 years ago at a conference in Seattle. His claim that he worked in tech sales, the whirlwind romance, the proposal. He gave me a ring, Lee said, told me he wanted to spend his life with me. We got married 6 years ago. I thought it was legal, real. Jennifer showed her the marriage certificate, asked her to verify it. Lee looked at it and started crying. I thought this was real, she said. I thought I was his wife, that our children were legitimate, that we were a family. When did you find out the truth? When Maya knocked on my door, Lee said. She told me she was married to Damon, had been for 10 years, and my whole world collapsed. Jennifer asked about the finances, the money Damon had stolen to maintain both households. I thought we were struggling because of my student loans, Lee said, because childcare was expensive. I never questioned where the money went. I trusted him. Did you know about Maya? No, Lee said firmly. I had no idea. If I had known he was married, I would have left immediately. I am not a home wrecker. I am a victim. Robert tried to cross-examine her too. Miss Thompson, he said, Mr. Chen cares deeply for you and your children. Then he has a funny way of showing it, Lee said. He lied to me for 8 years, used me, made our children illegitimate. I do not call that caring. Robert pressed. But he provided for you financially. With stolen money, Lee said, money that is going to have to be paid back, money that his children will suffer for not having. So no, he did not provide for us. He destroyed us. The defense had no case. Damon's lawyer tried. He brought in a psychologist who testified about compartmentalization, about stress, about men who create separate lives as a coping mechanism. But the evidence was overwhelming. Bank records showing systematic theft over 6 years. Emails proving Damon had deliberately created false personas for each life. Text messages where he coordinated schedules to avoid being in 2 places at once. Calendars that showed him attending Emma's dance recital on a Saturday and Oliver's baseball game on Sunday. Receipts from 2 Father's Day celebrations, 2 Christmas mornings, 2 sets of birthday presents. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. Embezzlement, wire fraud, forgery, bigamy. The judge sentenced him 2 weeks later. 8 years in prison. Restitution of $197,000. supervised probation for 5 years after release, mandatory therapy. Damon stood when the sentence was read. His face was blank, empty. "Do you have anything to say?" the judge asked. "I am sorry," he said. His voice was barely audible. "To my wives, my children, my employer, I am sorry for everything." The judge looked at him with something like pity. "Mr. Chen," she said, "you constructed an elaborate lie that harmed multiple people for years. You stole money to fund that lie. You manipulated 2 women and 4 innocent children. Love does not justify what you have done. It does not even begin to explain it." She closed the file. "Take him away." And just like that, it was over. Both marriages were annulled. Maya's was declared void. Lee's was declared fraudulent. In the eyes of the law, neither marriage had ever really existed. Cold, final, inevitable. And the children. They struggled. Emma stopped eating. She would sit at the dinner table pushing food around her plate, silent tears running down her cheeks. "Why did Daddy leave?" she asked one night. Maya pulled her close. "Daddy made some very bad choices," she said softly. "He lied to a lot of people, and now he has to face the consequences." "But why did he lie to us?" Emma whispered. Maya had no answer for that. Liam was angry. He threw things, screamed, refused to go to school. "I hate him," he shouted one afternoon. "I hate him and I never want to see him again." Maya let him rage, let him break, let him feel everything he needed to feel. Then she held him while he cried. Lee's children were younger. Sophie barely understood. She kept asking when Daddy was coming home, when they could go to the park again. Oliver knew more. He was 7, old enough to understand that something terrible had happened but too young to process it. He wet the bed for months after, had nightmares. Lee took him to a child therapologist. They all went to therapy. Separate sessions, family sessions, group sessions. It was exhausting. But slowly, something unexpected happened. Maya and Lee stayed in each other's lives. Not because of him, not because they had to, not out of some obligation or legal requirement, but because of the children. One afternoon, about 4 months after the trial, Maya called Lee. She had been thinking about it for weeks, rehearsing what she would say, wondering if it was a terrible idea. "I was thinking," she said when Lee answered. "The kids are half-siblings. They share a father. Maybe they should know each other. Maybe they should meet." The line was quiet for a moment. "I was thinking the same thing," Lee said finally. Her voice was soft, uncertain. "Sophie keeps asking if she has brothers and sisters. I did not know what to tell her." "Tell her yes," Maya said. "Tell her she has a brother and a sister who would like to meet her." They arranged it carefully, talked to their therapists first, made sure the timing was right, that the kids were ready. They met at a park, Laurelhurst Park, on a Saturday afternoon in early spring. Neutral ground. No homes, no memories, just trees and grass and playground equipment. Maya arrived first with Emma and Liam. They sat on a bench waiting. Emma was nervous. She kept picking at her fingernails. "What if they do not like us?" she asked. "They will," Maya said. "But even if it is awkward at first, that is okay. This is new for all of us." Liam was quiet. He had been angry for so long that Maya worried he would refuse to engage. But when he saw Lee approaching with Oliver and Sophie, something in his expression shifted. Curiosity, maybe, or loneliness recognizing loneliness. The kids stared at each other, shy, uncertain. Emma and Liam on one side, Oliver and Sophie on the other. 4 children who shared DNA and trauma and a father who had failed them all. "Hi," Emma said finally. "I am Emma. This is Liam." "I am Oliver," the boy said. "This is Sophie." Sophie, who was 4 and fearless in the way only small children are, looked at Liam and asked, "Do you want to play on the swings?" Liam blinked, then nodded. And just like that, the ice broke. Within minutes, all 4 of them were running toward the playground, racing to the swings, arguing over who got to go down the slide first, laughing. Acting like kids. Maya and Lee sat on a bench, watching them, not speaking at first, just processing the strangeness of it all. "This is so weird," Lee said finally. Maya nodded. "But maybe it is what they need," she said, "to know they are not alone in this, that there are other people who understand what they have been through." "Do you think they will be okay?" Lee asked. "All of them?" Maya watched Emma push Sophie on the swing, watched Liam and Oliver race across the grass. "I hope so," she said. "I think so. They are resilient, stronger than we give them credit for." "They are," Lee agreed. They sat in silence for a while, watching their children play, watching half-siblings become friends. "Can I ask you something?" Lee said. "Of course." "Do you hate me?" Maya turned to look at her, really look at her. This woman who had been sleeping with her husband, who had children with him, who had believed she was married to him. But when Maya looked at Lee, she did not see an enemy. She saw another victim, another woman who had been lied to, betrayed, used. "No," Maya said, "I do not hate you. How could I? You did not know about me. You thought you were married. You thought he was yours." Lee's eyes filled with tears. "I should have known," she said. "There had to have been signs." Maya shook her head. "He was good at this, disturbingly good. He had calendars, systems. He compartmentalized like it was a job. You could not have known. Neither of us could." "Still," Lee said. "Still nothing," Maya said firmly. "He is the one who lied. He is the one who chose this. We are just trying to survive it." Lee wiped her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For not hating me, for agreeing to this, for giving our kids a chance to know each other." Maya reached over and squeezed her hand. "We are in this together now," she said, "whether we like it or not." Lee laughed, a wet, broken sound. "I never thought I would say this," she said, "but I am glad you knocked on my door that day." "Me too," Maya said. They started meeting regularly after that, once a month at first, then every other week, then weekly. The kids bonded quickly, became friends, started asking when they could see each other again. Emma taught Sophie how to draw. Oliver showed Liam his favorite video game. They traded toys, shared snacks, fought over whose turn it was like real siblings. Maya and Lee bonded too, though more slowly, more carefully. They talked about the logistics of co-parenting children with a father in prison, who would handle medical decisions, how to split holidays, what to do if Damon sent letters. They talked about therapy appointments and school struggles, and how to explain everything to relatives who kept asking intrusive questions. Maya's mother was supportive but confused. "How can you spend time with her?" she asked. "She was sleeping with your husband." "She did not know he was my husband," Maya reminded her. "She thought she was his wife. We were both lied to." Lee's parents were more judgmental. They did not understand why she would befriend the first wife, thought it was unhealthy, codependent. But Maya and Lee did not care what other people thought. They were figuring out their own path, creating their own kind of family from the wreckage of what Damon had destroyed. They talked about their own healing too. How hard it was to trust again. How every time Maya met a man, she found herself looking for lies, inconsistencies, red flags. "I went on a date last month," she told Lee one afternoon over coffee. "Nice guy, works in tech, seemed normal." And Lee prompted. "And I interrogated him," Maya said, "asked where he lived, if he traveled for work, how often. I basically asked for his GPS history and credit card statements." Lee laughed. "How did that go?" "He did not call me back," Maya said, surprisingly. They both laughed, dark humor, the kind you develop when your life has been turned upside down. "I do not know if I will ever get married again," Lee said. "The idea of trusting someone that much terrifies me." "Same," Maya agreed, "but maybe that is okay. Maybe we do not need to be married to be happy." "Maybe," Lee said. They talked about finances. Both of them were struggling. Damon had drained accounts, maxed out credit cards, left them with debt they were working to pay off. Maya had gone back to work full-time, long hours at the architecture firm. Her parents helped with childcare. Lee had enrolled in nursing school. It was hard juggling classes and kids and work, but she was determined. "We are survivors," Maya told her. "We will figure it out." "We will," Lee agreed. How hard it was to trust again, to sleep through the night without nightmares, to look at their wedding photos without feeling sick. "I keep thinking I should have known," Maya said one afternoon over coffee. "There had to have been signs I missed." "Do you think he loved either of us?" Maya asked quietly. Lee considered this. "I think he loved the versions of us he created in his head," she said. "I do not think he ever really saw us as whole people." They chose healing over hatred. It was not easy. There were days Maya wanted to scream. Days she wanted to track Damon down in prison and demand answers to questions that had no good answers. But she did not, because anger was exhausting, and she was so tired. Lee felt the same way. They built a fragile but real bond. Co-parented not out of obligation, but out of understanding. Shared holidays, split spring breaks, made sure all 4 kids felt included. Emma and Oliver started going to the same school. They walked to class together. Sophie and Liam became inseparable. Maya joked that they were basically twins despite the age gap. And slowly, their homes became peaceful again. Honest. Safe. Maya started dating again, cautiously. A coworker asked her to dinner. She said yes. It did not go anywhere, but it felt good to try. Lee went back to school, finished the nursing degree she had abandoned when Oliver was born. They both rebuilt. Not the lives they had before. Those were gone, shattered beyond repair. But new lives, smaller maybe, quieter but real. And the kids. They grew. Emma started painting. Bright, chaotic canvases that her art teacher said showed real talent. Liam joined soccer, became the fastest kid on his team. Oliver learned to play guitar, wrote songs that made Lee cry. Sophie danced, everywhere, all the time, like she was made of music. They were healing. All of them. As for Damon, prison walls replaced the homes he once moved between so effortlessly. Maya visited him once, 6 months into his sentence. She did not tell Lee, did not tell the kids. She just needed to see him, to understand. He looked different, thinner, gray at the temples, older than his 40 years. They sat across from each other in the visiting room. Plastic chairs, fluorescent lights, the smell of disinfectant and desperation. Why, she asked. That was all, just why. Damon stared at his hands. "I do not know," he said. "At first it was just, I met Lee and I did not want to lose you, so I thought I could have both, just for a little while, until I figured out what I wanted. And then it became normal," he said. "I had 2 families and I loved them both, and I convinced myself I was doing the right thing, providing for everyone, making everyone happy." "But we were not happy," Maya said. "We were living a lie." "I know," he whispered. "Do you understand what you took from us?" she asked. "Not just time, but truth. We cannot even look back at our memories without wondering which parts were real." Damon's eyes filled with tears. "I am sorry," he said. "I know that does not mean anything, but I am." Maya stood up. "You are right," she said. "It does not mean anything." She walked out. She never visited again. Lee never visited at all. Damon wrote letters, to both of them, to the kids. Maya read them once, then threw them away. Lee did not open hers. The kids were too young to decide, so Maya and Lee decided for them. When they were older, if they wanted a relationship with their father, that would be their choice. But for now, they needed stability, safety, honesty. Things Damon had never given them. No more lies to juggle. No more roles to play. Just silence. And the weight of everything he destroyed. Because in the end, a man who lives 2 lives does not just risk losing one. He risks losing everything. And sometimes he does. Damon Chen lost his freedom, his reputation, his career. But more than that, he lost his children. Not legally. He still had parental rights, limited as they were. But he lost their trust, their respect, their love. Emma stopped asking about him after the first year. Liam said he did not have a dad anymore. Oliver told his therapist he felt relieved not having to pretend anymore. Sophie forgot him. She was so young that within 2 years, she did not remember his face without looking at photos. And maybe that was the cruelest consequence of all. Not punishment, but irrelevance. Becoming a ghost in the lives you once occupied. Maya thought about that sometimes. Late at night, when the house was quiet and the kids were asleep. She thought about how Damon must feel, knowing he threw away everything that mattered for a lie he could not maintain. She did not feel sorry for him, but she understood, in some distant way, that his punishment was not just prison. It was knowing exactly what he had lost, and knowing he did it to himself. 5 years after the trial, Maya and Lee took the kids to the coast. All 6 of them piled into Lee's minivan. Snacks and suitcases, and arguing over who got to control the music. They rented a beach house for a week. The kids built sandcastles, flew kites, stayed up too late eating s'mores and telling ghost stories. Emma taught Sophie how to find sand dollars. Liam and Oliver had a contest to see who could jump the highest wave. One evening, Maya and Lee sat on the deck watching the sunset. "Can I ask you something?" Lee said. "Of course. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we had never found out?" Maya was quiet for a moment. "All the time," she said. "I think about how long it could have gone on. If that school had never called me, if I had never followed him, we might still be living that lie." "Would that have been better?" Lee asked, not knowing. Maya shook her head. "No," she said, "because it was not real, and I would rather have a hard truth than a beautiful lie." Lee nodded. "Me too," she said. They watched the waves for a while. They sat there as the sky turned pink and gold and purple. Their children's laughter floated up from the beach. And for the first time in years, Maya felt something she had not thought possible. Peace. Not the absence of pain, but the presence of something real. Something honest. Something she had built herself, from the rubble of everything that had been destroyed. That the worst thing someone does to you does not have to become the worst thing about your story. That healing is not about forgetting. It is about choosing, every single day, to build something new. Maya and Lee did not ask for their lives to intersect. They did not ask to become allies, friends, co-parents. But when faced with a choice between bitterness and grace, between isolation and connection, between staying broken and learning to heal, they chose the harder path. And in doing so, they gave their children something Damon never could. The truth. Not just about what happened, but about what is possible after everything falls apart. That you can lose everything and still find a way forward. That family is not just blood. It is the people who show up, who stay, who choose you even when they do not have to. Emma is 16 now. She wants to study art in college. Liam is 13, still the fastest kid on his team. Oliver is 12. He performed his first original song at a school talent show. Sophie is 9. She still dances everywhere. They know the truth now, all of it. They know what their father did. And they have complicated feelings about it. Some days they are angry, some days they are sad, some days they do not think about it at all. But they also know this. They have 2 women who love them fiercely. Who chose to heal together instead of suffer alone. Who showed them that even when trust is shattered, it can be rebuilt. Not with the person who broke it, but with yourself. And with people who prove, through action, that they deserve it. Damon will be released in 3 years. Maya does not know if she will ever speak to him again. Lee is certain she will not. The kids will decide for themselves. But regardless of what happens, Maya knows this. Her life is no longer defined by what he took from her. It is defined by what she built after. And that makes all the difference. Because a man who lives 2 lives might destroy everything he touches. But but the people he leaves behind. They do not have to stay broken. They can choose to rise, to heal, to become something stronger than they were before. And sometimes, against all odds, they do. This is the story of Maya and Lee. Two women who should have been enemies. Two women who became something better. Who took the shattered pieces of their lives and built something new. Not perfect, but real. And in a world full of beautiful lies, real is the most precious thing of all. Listen closely. The whisper might just change your life. You are allowed to heal. You are allowed to win. And you are allowed to build something beautiful from the ruins of what you lost.